Going?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you view the transition to a low carbon economy as an important area of investment for New Zealand?
Yes.
If so, how should our government promote the research and development of new green technologies and sustainable practices to Kiwi businesses?
How should the government promote new technologies and sustainable practices? I think that the government should promote new technologies and sustainable practices through leadership, through clear energy strategies, things that illustrate for businesses the opportunities that are presented by clean green technologies. The likes of Sir Paul Callaghan have demonstrated how New Zealand can best take advantage of its very good schooling system, its levels of education, and the future weightless economy to diversify its income streams and lead the world in many ways. So I think the government has a role in making sure that businesses understand that, but also in clearing away obstructions to developing new areas of business that are kind on the environment. Those that are bad for the environment should be discouraged. You know, it's about incentives and sanctions and rewards, and those kinds of sanctions and rewards are well done through an emissions trading scheme, but that equally can be supplemented by other regulation. For example, a ban on new fossil fuel generation for electricity makes sense in the New Zealand context. We have plenty of available renewable technologies at cost-effective prices, and if we don't want to be left behind in the world, we need to be developing those technologies.
Furthermore, what role do you think green jobs have in reducing New Zealand's unemployment?
Let's just stick to the main ones, we don't have much time.
Do you believe that the emissions trading scheme is an equitable system which delivers the right economic signals and incentives to polluters?
I believe the emissions trading scheme has the potential to do that, but I don't think that currently it does send the right signals. I think that it needs to be stronger. I think that it needs to be a proper cap and trade scheme, not an intensity based scheme. It needs to provide a clear path for emissions reductions, and to provide clear incentives for emissions reductions over time.
What are your opinions on expanding our country's fossil fuel industries?
I think our country's fossil fuel industries are self-sustaining at the moment. They carry on. I don't think there's need to incentivise that further. I think that our time and energy and monies and taxpayer money should be going towards developing renewable energies and
so
pushing them forward.
Would you support an ETS that effectively priced out the possibility of developing lignite and those sorts of things in New Zealand?
I do. I support
as opposed to
an emissions trading scheme that prices out those worst kinds, certainly those worst kinds of fossil fuel development, like coal to liquids.
Yeah.
That should never be economically viable, and a proper emissions trading scheme will take that into account. The whole nature of a market, if it's set up right, would see an enormous amount of offsets to offset lignite, and in the current environment that just wouldn't be affordable, I don't think.
Do you feel the government should be giving more support to renewable energy industries?
Yes, I think that government can support renewable energy industries in lots of different ways, and that can be anything from smoothing the path to energy development to providing transmission in an appropriate way to new renewables that are being done for electricity purposes. It can mean providing an environment that is friendly to developing alternative fuels for transport. It can mean a whole range of different things. So it's not just about throwing money at renewables, it's about providing certainty for business that renewable technologies will be favoured in the future.
The government has decided to spend over $10 billion nationally on new highways. Do you support the reallocation of this spending to public transport initiatives?
The first thing to say is that buses travel on roads as well. So, and buses are one of the lowest carbon solutions for New Zealand. We have a widely dispersed population. Light rail makes a lot of sense in places like Auckland, and I'm really pleased to see that it's been looked at in the Christchurch redevelopment. Sometimes trains are actually much more carbon intensive than other forms of transport, and so I think we need to look at the New Zealand situation in particular and look at what makes sense for reducing our emissions over time. But public transport is something that we need to be investing in more over time, no doubt about that at all.
As a community, how do you feel your electorate can best reduce its emissions?
Our electorate can reduce its emissions through both through personal means, doing stuff, it's back to the simple stuff like changing light bulbs to low emissions ones, through turning off your heaters when you're not using them, and also through things like taking steps towards insulation and so forth that government can assist with. Properly insulated houses also reduce all kinds of other social burdens, and so that's something that the government, in my view, should be doing more of over time.
What do you believe our government must do to kickstart the change that is so urgently needed?
I think the first thing the government needs to do is to put in place some clarity around the emissions trading scheme and its future direction, to reverse those things that National has done to water it down. Businesses that I've spoken to want certainty more than anything else. Even fossil heavy businesses are not wanting to be fossil heavy businesses forever. They will if the incentives are set up that way, but if the incentives are set up differently, they want to transition as much as anyone else does to a new path, and we just need to set up the system in a way that gives them certainty about what happens in the future, and that future for New Zealand is in the sensible, renewable direction that we're so well set up to take advantage of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.